for the delay. We were looking for the people that were lost here on campus. Anyways, yeah, some of them have already introduced themselves and explained how, we just asked them to explain how their parents found out they were deaf. Anyways, we're finally here, so thank you for coming. Everybody give them a round of applause. And thank you for coming. I'll go ahead and introduce myself again for those of you who showed up late. I am Josh Prado. I'm the president of the ASL Club. We'll take the opportunity to ask them some questions, and then we'll open it up to audience questions and whatever you guys may want to say as well. So we can go ahead and start. I'll let him introduce himself first. Hi, my name is Eric Hoover. I know that one of those interpreters. Hey! Anyways, thank you for inviting me.
Hi, my name is Natalie. I said before.
Hi, my name is Akpo.
Hi, my name is Julian. Last name is complicated to pronounce. It's Moiwai.
Hi, my name is Taylor.
Okay, thank you all. What school did you graduate from? I graduated from Grand Cayman University, and I did my master's program at UNF.
I'm currently a student freshman here at UCF.
I graduated from Monarch High School, and then I went to Florida Panelist University. Then I'm currently in a law enforcement academy.
Well, I started going to a deaf school until about second grade, and then I transferred into a mainstream setting until college, where I went to RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, where I graduated in 2012. And I worked to pay my bills.
I'm currently not a student right now. I'm just a kid graduated, but I'm trying to transfer up to Alabama to become a clinical lab technician.
Great, thank you so much. First question. I'm curious how you guys identify yourself as deaf, little d or big D deaf, hard of hearing, hearing, oral. How would you identify yourself and why? Culturally, I'm big D deaf. That's how I would identify myself. You know, I really love sign language, and it really does have a culture. You know, to many deaf people, they may not believe that deaf people have culture. But Americans really don't realize that, you know, they have an American culture themselves, and every country has their own culture. So we have our own customs and habits that relate to our culture. Some are positive, some are negative, depending on the opinion, but I identify myself as big D deaf. I use ASL, and I usually hang out with deaf people all the time.
I identify myself as deaf little d because I'm like mainstream. I'm the only deaf person in my family. I've never like exposed a lot to deaf culture, community, whatever. But like I cherish ASL, I cherish the deaf people. I love to like hang out with them, whatever. So yeah.
I consider myself hard of hearing, mostly because I've been exposed to a lot of hearing people and those surroundings, and I have little interaction with the deaf culture with deaf people as well. But still, I know sign language and we raised a lot of deaf people. But I just consider myself hard of hearing.
I identify myself with hearing loss. I guess that would be little d deaf. And really, I consider myself the same as you. I just can't hear, you know. I'm very active in the deaf community, however, and I cherish sign language and culture and everything. I like the medicine of hearing people sometimes, though, hanging out with them. And, you know, I like to consider myself in the middle, half and half.
I consider me, I guess, a little deaf and hearing impaired because, like, I have hearing aids and I can hear, but I don't always hear everything. So I'm in between both worlds.
Were you born deaf? Did you lose your hearing at an early age? How did you become deaf? I was born, you know, traditionally, the doctors, you know, they would hit the baby's butt, and supposedly instead they hit my head and my hearing fell out. No. I was born deaf. I don't know why. My parents found out when I was 2. And so from there, they did different interventions. And that's it.
I was born deaf. My parents found out when I was 13 months old. I have like a deformity inside of my ear that like makes me deaf. So yeah.
I was born deaf because I was pretty much a bird, and I was born at 7.5 months old, so this size of my ears. So doctor reason maybe not fully developed. I don't know, but so my parents didn't find out till later on with some illness that I don't recognize sounds, you know, just walking around.
I became deaf when I was 10 months old. I have spinal meningitis, and so it got me.
My parents found out that I was deaf when I was a couple months old because I have an uncle, so my mom sort of recognized that I wasn't reacting to loud noises, and they thought it was weird that I was sleeping a little too well at night.
Okay. So growing up, when did you learn sign language? As soon as they found out I was deaf, they put me in a school. We were up in New York, and they taught me speech and sign language at the same time. So that's when I learned. Oh, and also, when I went to the mainstream school, there was no interpreters, and I stopped signing. And in high school, my freshman year, I went to FSDB, and so I started signing again, and I remembered the signs, and I really enjoyed it there. I had full access to communication. When I went to school and I had to speak, I didn't like it, but I understood when I went to the deaf school, so I understood 100%. Question? How did you learn sign language? Okay.
When my mom found out I was deaf, she like she lived in Maryland, and she like went up to Maryland School for the Deaf, and she asked them, can you like have a representative or someone like come to my house and like teach my daughter sign, teach my mom sign, everything. So like a couple times a week, a deaf representative would come to my house, like 2 times a week or whatever, to teach me sign, my mom and my dad and everyone sign. So.
Because I was born in Guatemala, deaf person there is absolutely nothing, and they consider deaf stupid, mute, and deaf. So they had to make a decision on what to do with me. One of the guys came in and noticed, what's that, and they told my mom, there's a school program in Miami there, and the rest of the program, you should really go. And my mom decided to go to Miami, and she was telling me, to the classroom, and the kids are talking. Yep, and they're talking. She was sure. They're talking. So they went back to grandma and told my grandma and grandparents, no, they're talking. So they decided to make a huge list to come up here. So they decided to move up and go to school in Barrow County. And they little elementary school, they have a program called soap program. Yeah, the same elementary school.
Yeah, right there.
So when the first decision, they decided to put me in a whole class. I would talk. But nothing. They said, okay, just move to the sign language, see what happens.
When did you start learning sign language? Me or my parents? Okay, me. I first learned sign language right after I became deaf. My parents found out, and then they took a sign language class at a community college, and they picked it up from there, and that's how they communicated with me. And my parents were very involved in my language development, and so I was able to communicate with everybody. So I'm glad that they did that. That's my preferred language.
Well, when I was younger, my mom got me like taught to do sign language, but then when I started talking, then they kind of quit doing that, and it's just full from there.
So how did you communicate with your family? Not only sign language, but were there other modes of communication? Right now, my parents, I had to just communicate with them with my voice, and so I would sign, but no one in my family signed, so they forced me to communicate orally. I had to use my voice with them, so.
Understanding my family, all of them hearing, like they know a little bit of sign, like baby sign. So I just talk with my family. Same with my friends, whatever. I have deaf friends also that I just sign with. My mom, like when I go to like a restaurant or something and I don't understand what the waiter is saying because it's too like noisy or whatever, my mom will like interpret for me. So my mom knows sign, but she cannot like read it well because I just talk back to her when she signs to me. So.
Same situation. When I learned some sign with the kid, sometimes then a sign but basically you should listen and you live emotionally and listen, and they just would sign because they can't learn well enough, or they just don't want to, or they feel lazy, or whatever the reason, But you should talk with them. Same thing with friends. And then among a lot of young people, they don't really know much sign unless they take some classes. Yay! Bad sign, but I can work it. But they got lazy again.
I use primarily sign language. I can read lips. With my friends that are hearing, I read lips. And I'm very patient using eye contact, so that's all. But did you sign with your parents? Yeah, they signed with me. So yeah.
Got a question was.
How did you communicate with your parents?
I mainly just like you speak normal orally, and then sometimes if we're out in public or whatever, we just like use our mouth and don't use sign at all if we don't want to come over, hear what we're saying, and then like we do every once in a while use a little bit of sign language like at night, so like I love you and stuff like that, but other than that, it's mainly just oral.
Different ways that you guys communicate, and that's great. But one thing you probably know, one signs the Rochester method. You guys know what that is? I know one, my brother, he refuses to sign, but he loves to finger spell. He finger spells everything. A story, he'll finger spell, finger spell, finger spell. And I'm like, whoa. So if you meet somebody, it's awesome, but maybe one day you'll meet my brother, I don't know, but it's pretty awesome. All right, the next question. Your background of education, did you go to the deaf school and then mainstream, or mainstream and then the deaf school? Growing up, I was mainstream. My dad was in the Navy, and so we moved a lot to different schools. I would say maybe 10 different schools in different states. Middle school, high school, and in high school there was one in Orlando, Cypress Creek. That was my high school. I went there for 1 year. It was awful. It was not good. It was not a good year for me. So then I went to FSDB, and it was much, much better. FSDB also mainstreams with St. Augustine High School, so it was a good experience.
Like I said before, originally my own school for the deaf came to my house a couple times a week. And then I actually went to my own school for the deaf up until preschool. And then when I went to preschool, I became mainstream, and then I was mainstream all the way up, and now I'm here. So.
I started that program, salt, pepper, and bitters. Then went to Tampa, then went to school in Tampa. And then started with the program with all the deaf kids, and learned to teach it with the signing, and finger spelling, and English, grammar, math, blah, blah, very basic. But I noticed that, my introduction goes pretty well. They decided to try me out for different animation in the camera. Progressed into it, and learning a lot. Then eventually come to go to hearing school. The middle school, high school is all hearing. And then, interpreter, they follow me everywhere. Then, once I go to college at FAU, the big classes, and teachers sometimes have sequence, the computer, just reading, sometimes just hearing, just read the book. Or interpreter, depending on classes, some prefer sequence, and some prefer interpreter to different subject, sequence, so they have notes with the math. I'm sure they can do math. But then, to go to Florida Portsmouth School, preschool, and though I have interpreters, I had to rely on my hearing to train myself, just being involved with English words, so I can't rely on interpreter anymore. So, good, good, pass all exams, so far, so good.
I also wanted to add that I have interpreted for all of my classes all the way through school.
At first I went to a hard of hearing school program. It was this North Carolina Center for the Deaf. And in second grade, I went into mainstream school. And then at that time, I think it was awful. I had to ride the short bus, you know what that is? And at that time, I didn't know what the big deal was about the short bus. I didn't know. And then later on, I found out. So I thought, okay, well, okay. But I was mainstreamed all through school. And then interpreting services, I had for all my classes and for college.
Well, because my mom grew up with my uncle being hearing impaired, he'd always take phone and stuff. So my mom wanted to make sure that I had, I guess, the best chance of being successful. So she put me in an all hearing school, and and then I mainly used FM systems, and I sat up front and just read lips.
Me too. Yep. Okay, now, do you use hearing aids? Do you have a cochlear implant? What are you using those and do you like it? I use a hearing aid. I always have. And I get tinnitus. And now if I take it off, I get tinnitus. So I depend on my hearing aid to mask the tinnitus. So, but yeah, I use a hearing aid.
Growing up, I used hearing aids, and then 2 years ago, my hearing dropped and I couldn't use hearing aids anymore. My hearing was like not working with my hearing aids. So then I got a cochlear implant. So now I have a cochlear implant on this side, and then in May I'm getting my second one on this side. So.
Yeah, I use a hearing aid where the hearing aid sensor. You know?
I use a hearing aid once in a while for like movies or music. Whenever I feel like I want to hear something. But if I want to ignore people, I take it off.
Me too.
Yeah, I depend on my hearing aid a lot for everything. But when I'm at home or at the movie theater, I use like captioning for everything.
Advice for everybody, if they want to become an interpreter or maybe a teacher for the deaf, maybe they haven't learned sign language, give them some advice, your last words. Okay, I have advice. When you see a deaf person, look them hard in the eyes and smile. I would say, you're a professor, come on, you're writing a book, come on. Okay. I would say that not all deaf people are created equal, just like hearing people are not created equal. Some deaf people have the ability to speak, but it doesn't mean that those who can't speak are less of a person. Some deaf people have cochlear implants, they speak well, they hear well. Some deaf people, the cochlears don't help. Or my hearing aid is big. Some have, it's like this big old thing. His is really small. So some people don't realize that the hearing ability of deaf people are different. It's measured in decibels. And there's a specific measurement of hearing loss. Some hear well, some don't. Some don't hear at all. But again, it doesn't mean they can't. It doesn't mean they're less of a person. Some deaf people are brilliant. For example, the rockets that go up in space. There's a Russian scientist. Don't ask me to spell it. I don't know. But he was a Russian scientist, and I think back in the 1800s, he came up with a rocket formula of how to get to space. And at that time, there was no technology, no computers. He was brilliant, but he could not speak. And so that's why Russians went to space first, because of his formula back in the 1850s. So if you limit deaf people, you don't know what they're capable of. Also, Dummy Hoy, he was a baseball player. He influenced baseball. The strikes and the outs and all these signs in baseball came from a deaf baseball player. They weren't able to communicate. You know how the pitcher will do all these different little signs and then they steal a base? That started with a deaf person. He couldn't talk. So the umpire, they came up with signs. They did not accept him into the Hall of Fame. His statistics were good, his numbers were good, but they weren't thinking. At the time, they wouldn't let him. But it starts with you, university students. You are future leaders, future business owners. You're going to be working in various fields. You may encounter a deaf person. And so look at treating them as individuals and their individual merits. So don't just think, oh, they're deaf, I'm not going to hire them. So it's up to you.